Hello, everyone. Welcome to my YouTube channel. I have got to tell you, my friends, my heart has been doing absolute flip-flops ever since I caught wind of the latest whispers coming out of Port Charles. You know how it is when you have been invested in a television town and its people for so long, they really start to feel like your own neighbors, your own family. Well, word on the street, specifically from the brilliant Heather Hughes over at the Soap Rumor Mill this past August, is that we are bracing for an absolute storm of epic proportions. We're talking about four major earth-shattering twists that could lead to some devastating permanent goodbyes. The Grim Reaper is apparently packing his bags and heading straight for upstate New York, and let me tell you, I am sitting on pins and needles. It is never easy saying goodbye to characters we love, or even the ones we absolutely love to hate, but that is the nature of the beast, isn't it? The intense drama keeps us coming back for more, hook, line, and sinker. You know, thinking about all this impending doom really takes me back down memory lane. I have been watching the folks of Port Charles fall in love, break each other's hearts, and fight for their lives for decades. We have seen ice princesses, intense mob wars, and devastating hospital tragedies. But there is something uniquely chilling about the air in town right now. It is like the eerie calm before a massive, destructive hurricane. You can almost feel the barometric pressure dropping right in your living room as you watch the screen. The writers are setting up a chessboard, and it looks like several pawns and maybe even a king or two are about to be swept right off the board. Let us start by talking about a man who has certainly stirred the pot lately, the enigmatic Jack Brennan. Lord have mercy, the rumors swirling around Chris McKenna's character are enough to make your head spin right off your shoulders. Word is that Brennan is heading for a very grim, inescapable fate this fall. Now, I am the kind of guy who likes to read between the lines, and the fact that Chris has been as quiet as a church mouse on social media about this whole ordeal really raises my eyebrows. Usually these actors are quick to jump online and squash a false rumor to calm the fans down, but his complete silence, well, that speaks volumes to me. It feels like we are all just sitting around waiting for the other shoe to drop, and it is going to be a heavy, painful one. But here is where the plot really thickens, and where I start scratching my head in confusion. Our very own Nina Reeves, played so beautifully by Cynthia Watros, has been dropping some incredibly heavy hints about a genuine tragedy looming over sweet Willow Kane's life. Now, Willow has already been through the ringer more times than a wet towel, bless her heart. She has fought illness, family secrets, and heartbreak. How on earth does a man like Brennan fit into Willow's tragic puzzle? My gut tells me that Brennan might just find himself in the wrong place at the absolute wrong time. It would not be the first time an innocent, or at least semi-innocent, bystander got swept up in a Port Charles tragedy. I can just picture Brennan getting tangled up in whatever mess is coming for Willow and paying the ultimate deadly price. It is a tough row to hoe for anyone caught in Nina's chaotic orbit. Let us be completely honest with ourselves. Then again, we absolutely cannot forget Brennan's deep, dark ties to the WSB. That organization has more shadows than a haunted house at midnight. You know, whenever the WSB gets involved in Port Charles, you can bet your bottom dollar that chaos and destruction are going to follow closely behind. I remember the old days watching the agents run around thinking they were entirely above the law. If Brennan is tangled up in their latest web, he is playing a very dangerous game of Russian roulette. The WSB does not care about collateral damage. They only care about completing their mission. If Brennan has to be sacrificed for the greater good of the agency, they won't bat an eye. But you know what would really tug at the heartstrings? What if Brennan goes out like a true selfless hero? Just imagine him throwing himself directly in the line of fire to save young Jocelyn Jacks. Jocelyn is always finding herself in hot water, much like her mother, and if Brennan were to sacrifice his own life to ensure she gets to live hers, well, there wouldn't be a dry eye in the house. I would certainly need a whole box of tissues for that episode. It is too early to say for sure how it will play out, but a heroic exit is always a deeply memorable one. Moving right along, we have got to talk about young Kai Taylor. Oh, this situation just makes my blood run absolutely cold. Poor Trina Robinson has had her fair share of devastating heartache, and now she has got a terrifying stalker lurking in the shadows. This is not just some harmless schoolyard crush, folks. This stalker means serious, deadly business. Do you remember when they digitally erased Kai from that beautiful photo with Trina? That sent a massive shiver straight down my spine. It is clear as day that this creep wants Kai completely out of the picture, and I am terrified they might decide to make that a permanent, violent reality. My heart just bleeds for Trina. Hasn't that sweet, intelligent girl been through enough trauma to last 3 lifetimes? First, she loses Spencer in such a tragic, heart-wrenching way, and now she cannot even try to move on and find a tiny shred of happiness without some lunatic breathing down her neck. It is as if a dark, suffocating cloud just follows her everywhere she goes. And poor Kai, he is just a collateral victim in this twisted game of obsession. He probably thought he was just taking a pretty girl out for a milkshake and a laugh, completely unaware that he was stepping right into a hungry lion's den. Just the other day, I was watching the screen, practically yelling at my television because someone was tailing Kai right after he walked out of Bobby's Diner. Bobby's is supposed to be a safe haven, a place for warm pie and good conversation, not the starting point for a slasher movie. The stalker seems to have shifted their twisted focus back to Trina for the moment. But let us not kid ourselves. Kai is absolutely still in the crosshairs. Young love in Port Charles is always a risky business, but this takes the cake. I am deeply worried that this bright young man is going to end up on a cold slab at General Hospital just because he cared about the wrong girl at the wrong time. It is a crying shame, and I am praying someone catches this monster before it is too late. Now, let us shift gears and talk about the big dogs, the heavy hitters of the town. We need to discuss Jen Sidwell and the absolute powder keg that is currently brewing over at Pentonville Prison. Assistant District Attorney Justine Turner has been poking around asking Sonny Corinthos some very pointed, dangerous questions. She is terrified that Sonny is going to put a deadly hit out on Sidwell while they are both locked up behind those cold iron bars. Now, Sonny looked her dead in the eye and swore up and down that if anything happens to Sidwell, it won't be his doing. But come on, folks, we know Sonny. We have known him for years. Even if he doesn't give the order directly, things have a funny way of working out in his favor, especially behind bars where his influence is legendary. Of course, there is another side to this complicated coin. What if Sidwell manages to pull off a miraculous daring escape? He is a slippery one, that is for sure. But out of the frying pan and into the raging fire, as they say, if he breaks out, he is going to have a massive target on his back the size of Texas. Every enemy he has ever made will be gunning for him, and he might just realize a little too late that his cozy little prison cell was the safest place he could have possibly been. Either way, locked up tight or on the run through the woods, I do not see a long, happy future for Jen Sidwell. His days are severely numbered, and the clock is ticking very loudly for him. Finally, we have got to shine a bright light on the darkest, most terrifying corner of this whole messy situation. Hudson Parker. On the surface, he looks like your average, run-of-the-mill, handsome guy just strolling through Port Charles without a single care in the world. But do not let that charming smile fool you for a second. We have seen the absolute monster hiding beneath that calm, collected exterior. When he viciously and brutally attacked Ethan Lovett, it showed us exactly what kind of pure evil he is capable of. He is a wolf in sheep's clothing, plain and simple. And those are the most dangerous kinds of people to have walking around your neighborhood. And let us not forget exactly who Ethan Lovett is. He is Luke Spencer's son, for crying out loud. He has got that legendary, street-smart Spencer survival instinct running deep through his veins. So if a tough guy like Ethan is terrified of a man, you better believe that man is the devil incarnate. Ethan is shaking in his boots, and we should all be paying very close attention. What really twists my stomach into tight knots is Ethan's deep fear that Hudson is going to track down sweet Phoebe Chase. The thought of that innocent woman falling into the cruel clutches of a madman like Hudson is enough to give anyone terrible nightmares. We absolutely have to trust Ethan's instincts on this one. He knows a bad apple when he sees one, and Hudson is rotten straight to the core. So, my dear friends, that is the shocking lay of the land as I see it today. 4 men, 4 very different, complicated paths, but all seemingly leading straight to the local graveyard. The brilliant writers over at General Hospital are clearly pulling out all the stops this season, weaving a complex web of intense danger, dark deception, and deadly consequences. It is going to be a very bumpy ride, so we had all better buckle up tight I, for one, will be absolutely glued to my television screen every single afternoon, holding my breath and praying that my favorite characters somehow make it out alive. Keep your eyes peeled and your doors locked, folks, because the twists and turns are just getting started, and you definitely won't want to miss a single heart-stopping second of this chilling drama.